In Our Expert Opinion podcast is brought to you by SVN Saunders Ralston Dancer Real Estate, a full-service land and commercial brokerage with almost $4 billion in transactions since 1996.
Okay, happy to be back in the studio. Only 43 minutes behind schedule, but whenever you have the SRD Golden Boy here, we'll all just wait. Oh. I have Chad Mills, per usual, with me. He is doing the job of two people, and so as it turns out, our former
he's not
camera guy.
Not the SRD Golden Boy, by the way.
No, not Chad. Chad is the SRD Golden Man.
But you were saying the former what? Because we don't know what he did.
Yeah, we don't know what he did, but Chad now does both jobs, so maybe
really,
it was difficult.
He must not have done a whole lot.
I know. Well,
but Michael Huntley in the room.
He said to not say that he was in the room, so we won't say that he's in the room.
Michael's not in the room.
Michael's not in the room.
Wink, wink.
And I was supposed to do this, but I am... this is in our Expert Opinion podcast, and this podcast is for anybody interested in commercial real estate or land real estate. And I'm the podcast host, Linda, and I have the SRD Golden Child, August Gregory Schmidt. Welcome.
Senior, that is I.
Senior.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Is there a boy to child, huh?
Child. Yeah.
Golden boy to golden child.
Yeah.
Is that a downgrade?
I'm gonna be like a golden infant by the end of this podcast. So
it's gonna go well. Everybody has really wanted you on the podcast, so I'm sure we're gonna get some deep, insightful into the psyche of the industrial king in Polk County. So I hope you're ready.
Yeah, I held out for a while. I tried to really increase the demand there, and then Dean just cracked the whip on me. So here I am.
Yeah.
But glad to be here.
Heavy as the head, Augie. You can, if you're listening to the podcast, I assume that you know where to get it, but it's at svnsaunders.com/podcast on Apple, Google, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Please subscribe and share, and rate only if it's a good rating, please.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see what happens. So we'll just jump right into it. So you started at SRD when?
Oh, I'm really bad with years and what happened there. So I want to say this is year 5. Okay. So that means that...
Let's go 17.
I want to say it was the very end of 2016, but early 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, which, that's when I came to the firm as a research analyst. And, that was Genesis 1 in the beginning. So.
And then there was Light. So you came in as a research analyst. I know you had talked about that previously on a different podcast. Yeah. We won't plug it. But so you started as a research analyst, and so did I actually. But tell us just a little bit about it.
Just a little bit. So it was a position in the research department, obviously, but it really it was great for me. It really got the knowledge and understanding of what real estate is all about, what goes into each and every property, and also the values of the market. Because really the main part of the job was putting together brokers' price opinions, or others would call them opinions of value, and we would help the advisors. The research department would help the advisors within our firm create these packets, to serve their clients well and tell them what the value of a property was. So, we would get the top-down, in and out look at a property, 20, 25-page packet, as you remember, that would ultimately, everything about the property, but also it would conclude in a valuation. And then that would help the advisor hopefully go win the business. So, yeah, I spent 2 years in research, and in that time looking at, I don't know, probably 200 or 300 properties, and it really set a good foundation of knowledge. Like I said, for the market, the property types, values, things like that. to start my career. So
those were really difficult for me. And I remember another agent in our office, David Hungerford, who was the, I guess, like head of the research department when I started. He's like, it's not science, it's an art form. And I have not one creative bone in my body. So it pained me so much, but obviously that is truly the foundation of any listing that you get, is knowing how to value the property. And I think that a lot of newer agents, I almost feel bad for them in a way, because I feel like going through that research department, I feel like a pro now, you know?
Yeah, no, and a lot of people that have asked me like what, about my career and success and things that have happened, and I point back to that a lot. Because that really did set me up, in a big way for success, that when I was ready to, fully go into sales, I just had such a strong foundation of education and the market underneath me. But yeah, shout out to David Hungerford. I mean, I think he was all of our,
I know.
Do we
Mama
have
Bird
a
at one time.
shout out here for Snowman too? Was he with
1,000% we do.
Sanoa Lawson.
If Augie is on the podcast, there are multiple shout outs for Sanoa Natir, Holiday Lawson.
He truly was the, I think he like brought you in.
Yeah, we were stepbrothers, but
Yeah.
just no step. We were just brothers, and we hung out and held down the research department for a couple of years together, and spent a lot of time together, just doing BPOs and hanging out.
Yeah.
And going to Tropical Smoothie and doing
This
our thing.
is his second shout out on the podcast.
We
right?
need to.
Is-
Can we bring Sanoa
I would
back
love
for-
to bring Sanoa in. Actually, for a while you were my boss, but a very short while. That did not last long.
Yeah, she quit.
Yeah. Time to move on.
She put in her 2 weeks when I got the job. So
You did not go to school for real estate.
I did not.
What did you go to school for?
So I went to school for business, and my undergrad is business management, and then I got my master's in business. But business and sales really always excited me. My dad's a businessman. My dad's been in sales for a long time, so I always knew that was I was pretty naturally gifted there, just kind of a people person. But yeah, business management, not knocking any business management degrees, but I felt like it was the degree of like, hey, I really don't know what I want to do. Like, I know.
See, and I wish that I did get a business management degree, because I feel like, I have a degree in criminology that does nothing for me here.
Yeah. I mean, it was I knew I was going to. I tell people that like, hey, I went to college to, play football and go to school, and it was in that order. But yeah, I knew a business degree was just going to be a very, good general degree to have foundations of business underneath me.
How many concussions do you think you had while playing football? Because
Yeah.
I've heard that a max is 3. So
Yeah, I've had like 2 or 3 registered. They
Same.
register them in a database
Yep.
when they're bad, and you have to like sit out and go through a whole protocol and everything. So I've had like 2 or 3 of those that were really bad ones. But as far as like getting rocked, and just kind of being fuzzy or like probably could have been classified as a concussion. I mean, there's probably like 7, 8, 9, 10 more. So.
I think you've hit the capacity
Yeah,
there.
yeah. No, I'm very fortunate to get out of football with no serious injuries or ACLs, knees, back, things like that. But did get rocked a little bit.
But
so
you were
it's part of the game.
weren't you the captain of the football team?
Yeah. So so I was the team captain for 2 years, junior and senior year, which was very fortunate to do that. And it was a startup program my freshman year, so. But yeah, the school, Southeastern University, they were really behind us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think set us apart from all the other schools in our division was, they really got behind us, financially. All the alumni did, the donors, they really made it happen. Built an awesome stadium, give us a really cool place to play, and they just supported us in ways that other schools didn't. So yeah, loved my time at Southeastern, and like I said, got to lead the team for a couple of years there, and won a lot of football games and had a lot of fun.
Natural born leader.
Even though there was a couple of concussions involved. So.
No, but I feel like that probably prepared you for, your career and being able to, obviously you don't become a captain of something unless you're like a self-starter, unless you're self-motivated. And I think that probably is why you've done so well, here, because I saw.
Well, thank you.
I saw this something on Instagram last night, and it was saying that the reason why most agents don't last beyond 5 years is because if you have a normal, I want to say normal job, but if you have a job where you know your boss tells you to be there at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., you're there. If your boss tells you to make 5 phone calls, you make the phone calls. But you are your own boss. And I think it's really difficult for people to self-regulate in this industry because you don't have somebody who's holding your hand and telling you, you need to do these things each day.
Yeah.
Did you have any struggles with that when you first started?
No, not really. Obviously I had a lot of struggles like starting off in the business. It's a hard business to get into, and it's a hard business to kind of make a way for yourself. But, obviously, I've always been with a really good firm. And, the 3 partners here have been my biggest cheerleaders, to put a good picture in your head. The firms here has just been incredible to me and just cheered me on the whole way. Like I said, Jonathan, David, many people have really helped me out and pointed me towards that success. But as far as like the kind of the self-starter and like intrinsic values or just characteristics you have to have, I think, I don't know. I don't know if they were, some are probably, naturally born gifted, but some were probably, over time. Yeah. And I think sports and football really helped a lot with that. I was actually just thinking about this yesterday. But one thing Dean always says is like he loves his athletes. Love my athletes. And one of the reasons I was thinking about it is because, nowadays, like, as far as like being a self-starter and getting to it, I usually wake up at around 4:30, and I really just I'm very excited to get out of bed and go work out and start the day and get to work and just like really pursue whatever the day has for me to the best of my ability. And I think one of the reasons why that relates to sports is like I truly love what I do and I'm truly passionate about it. But there was some times like in football and, playing in college, like there's a lot of mornings where you wake up at, 4 a.m. Even our Thursday practices, you wake up at 3:45 in the morning and then you're like hitting, full pads on by 5. So like to do that in repetition for years and like be forced to like do those really hard things, it really set me on a good path of like, hey, doing the hard work, doing the hard things that you don't want to do. Which is why, I'm such a big advocate for, kids and sports. I know a lot of, middle high school kids, like their, dream is to go to the NFL and do all these great things and like go play pro and all those are good. And I was even that kid as well. But, hindsight, looking at it now, it's like, I am so incredibly grateful that, for football and, all the other sports I played for just the work ethic it's put in me and just the discipline.
Well, it's kind of like militant, it's like you have to be there if you want to be a part of the team. And it's all about this like team morale. And if you're not there, then you're not really, connecting with the other, your teammates. Yeah. I think the same goes for here. You know, it's important for people to see you in the office daily, and just to know that you're like there and that you're taking it seriously and see you on the phone and, going out and doing showings, which brings me to listings. So you are focused in on industrial. I know that I don't want to say it took you a while, but I think that you tried to pursue a couple of different areas of commercial real estate, but then you settled on industrial. Why?
Yeah, so I went to 2 other asset classes before I went to industrial. And, so I started off in the business focusing on multifamily. I was just interested in apartments. And I think if you can remember, you were like kind of in that world in 2016, 2017. I think the multifamily sector got to be really like, that's when it really went crazy or started to heat up. But I think there was a few like key players that, were that you can attribute that to, and one of them was Grant Cardone. He's a big like social media commercial real estate investing guy. Sales, mainly a sales guy, but yeah, he really went in on the multifamily investing. Started to watch a lot of that content and consume that and learn more about commercial real estate, and then thought, hey, apartments are really cool. Let me try and make my way in this. Then like I said, just the velocity in our market, and I don't want to go too deep into that, but I kind of noticed, hey, the number of properties in our market, talked to many of those people. Hey, here's kind of like where they stand with, a lot of people hold multifamily assets for a very long time. It's just cash flow for generations, great assets, but they just don't trade a lot. So, from a brokerage standpoint, in our market, I said, hey, this might not be the most lucrative opportunity. Just kind of started to see what else was out there. And then went into shopping centers. And then I really liked the multi-tenant aspect of shopping centers. They're just complex, and there's a lot going on. So in a shopping center, and you have, 12, 13, 15, 20 tenants, that many number of leases, there's just a lot of moving parts and a lot going on. So being a business major, and I almost was a finance major, but I could either get my MBA or pursue a finance undergrad. Anyway, being kind of more numbers oriented, I really just liked the complexity to it. Of multi-tenant transactions, and had some good success in shopping centers. Gary was a big advocate for my success, always has been, and he's kind of been coined as the retail whiz, and he's just incredible real estate mind.
That's Gary Ralston, who is our, broker, partner, manager.
Yep, the retail whiz.
Yeah.
He's the man. So,
one
of the three bears.
Three bears.
Yeah, one of the three bears.
So he kind of like pointed me in that direction as well. Like I said, and David, David's always been a great mentor of mine, and they've, David and Gary have teamed up together, for the past couple of years. So, did some shopping center deals, had some good success there, and that was a lot of fun. But then, just somewhere along the way, I got my stab at industrial. And just some leads being worked, or hey, this person's looking for this type of warehouse, and being young and aggressive, it's like, hey, you gotta chase any lead to put food on the table. So got my first stab at industrial, and then very quickly got a very big opportunity.
I was going to say, I think that this is the one that really put you on the map.
Yeah. So incredible family, local Lakeland family trusted me with the disposition of their asset over by the airport. And it was a pretty large deal. It was obviously
and you worked that by yourself.
Yeah. And
you didn't have another. I don't think that you had a broker on the other side.
Correct.
So how? I'm always so, curious how, number one, how you got that listing. And I think that you actually were working at that for a while, right? You, I think, established contact with the owners, but I don't think that right away that they wanted to list.
Yeah, they were in a position where, they were just kind of winding down their careers. So I think they knew that. However, so how it started and how the listing came about was, I was chasing this lead for I want to say it was like a 6,000 square foot warehouse tenant.
Okay.
So I went and, searched online for, warehouse spaces that were available, and found a 4,000 square foot space, off Drainfield Road, over by the airport. So it was actually for lease by owner online. So, I contacted, the lady and asked her if she had any. I said, hey, this is the 4,000 square foot of it, space you have available. Do you have anything larger? I even talked to my tenant, and he said, no, I need the 6. And she said, no, all we have is the 4,000. But just struck up a really good conversation. Honestly, it was, it was very natural, and just started talking to her about, like I said, she was kind of trying to wind down in her career, her and her husband. And they started with one building over there on Century Boulevard, and they accumulated to 11.
Oh my gosh.
I believe. Yeah, 125,000 square feet over, I want to say 20, 30 years. So, incredible family, absolutely, God sent, incredible family, and I still see, around all the time. My kids actually go to school where their grandkids go to school. So yeah, I see them at some events and things like that, and still keep touch with them. So, but yeah, so, listed their property.
Listed the 125,000.
Correct.
Like all of those buildings.
Correct. As a big multi-tenant industrial park. And yeah, so, and kind of how the conversation went about was, and how the conversation goes about with a lot of our clients, especially, as hot as the market's been, it is like, hey, we think our building is worth, so I think, rough numbers, the conversation went something like, hey, I think, we think our building is worth, or property is worth somewhere around like $4 to $5 million bucks. And I said, okay, like, let me take all the information, let me do an analysis, go back to the BPO foundation and let me see what we think it's worth. Cause I feel like it might be more. And then, so came back and, we ended up closing the deal like right over $7 million. So, obviously they were very pleased. But yeah, they actually retired on closing day.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So, and
oh my gosh, you probably could have too. No, I'm kidding.
No, not exactly.
No, but I think that gave you so much credibility because, first of all, I don't want to say that was your first deal ever because it wasn't, but to be handling such a large transaction with like multiple tenants. I know you said that there was like attorneys involved, there's CPAs involved, there's you, obviously what the owners want to get out of it. That's like a pretty complex deal.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I would be terrified.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, like I said, I was confident in like the foundation that was underneath me through the research department, and like through, I had questions for David, I had questions for Gary, and they, helped me along the way. So, and the things that I didn't know, definitely didn't act like I knew it all, but yeah, I felt confident in my ability and, stepped up to the plate, and like I said, had some help, but ended up closing the deal, and it was complex, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun. And then
we'll just call it the deal of the century.
Century Boulevard, baby.
Deal of the century.
That's it.
So then after that deal, were you like, these are the type of properties that I want to work on? Yeah,
and actually Chad just made me think of something that somebody said to me afterwards. They were like, from a brokerage standpoint, they said like, oh man, like that's a deal of a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hopefully not. That's not my plan. My plan is to like do another one like very soon, and do
bigger and more.
Do multiple like every single year. Like this is like what I want the tone of my business to be, to work on, these large complex transactions, to bring a lot of value to clients and just, do really good deals with good people. So, but yeah, as you know, I don't know if anybody's talked about it before, but one of the biggest things in commercial real estate is business gets business. Mm-hmm. So very quickly, I started to market the sale of that asset to other property owners that owned similar properties, and then I think there's probably been like 2 or 3 that are very similar that I've closed. Okay. And one was like probably 6 to 9 months after that transaction, and directly came from me sending out a brochure and saying, hey, look at this deal we did. Look at how we helped this family. Here's how we can help you. Yeah. And so closed a few more after that because of that. So.
Man, I wish I could say the same for myself, but no, I think that's great. And then, are you only in Polk?
No, so I always kind of, when I'm mapping out the market area, it's kind of a big rectangle in the middle of the state that I think, at least on the commercial side, we can go all throughout the state of Florida. And there's definitely some deals that will go a little bit farther outside of this, rectangle. But I think, right on the outskirts, at least for my business, not SVN as a whole, but at least for my business, on the outskirts, eastern side of Tampa, western side of Orlando, up to, north boundary is probably like Zephyr Hills, Brooksville area, and then down to like Sebring, Arcadia. So it's a big rectangle in the middle that I think like, the industrial presence and our, the ownership is just built up such a relationship with this, this part of the state for such a long time. So,
I think that is a good point as to why people, we were talking the other day about the other national, brokerages. But, I feel personally that clients choose us because we know the market so well and because, we do have such a strong presence here.
Yeah.
So have you ever run into are you in a competition with other brokerages or?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely beat out some bigger corporate clients or bigger corporate competition, which obviously love that. But yeah, we've also been beat out as well. So, and a lot of the more, the larger institutional grade stuff.
Yeah.
You just gotta, understand how relationships work. And, people ask me all the time, hey, you're in industrial and warehousing, hey, what about this 1 million square foot warehouse off Drainfield, or are you doing this warehouse? And it's no, that is not exactly, I've kind of tasted, close to that realm of asset class, but really not where I specialize and not where I think we can best serve the clients, because a lot of these developers, they're out of, very large MSAs, some Orlando, but a lot of Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles, New York. A lot of these big development firms are from there, which, if you're a developer out of Chicago and you're developing these, 1 million square foot warehouses all across the country, you likely have a relationship with, one of the, the more corporate firms. So, we kind of know, I kind of know what my, ball game is and sweet spot. And like I said, still love to compete and, go toe to toe whenever we can, on any deal. Just because just gets me jacked up and love that. But yeah, at the same time, know that
you understand staying in your lane.
Yeah, and I know where we can bring the best value to our clients and what we're really good at. And like I said, at the end of the day, that's really what matters most, is that the client is served best.
So you were talking about these larger developers who are out of Chicago or New York or wherever. Do you find that you work with more local tenants, what am I talking about? More local clients or national clients? Do you have one client that for a fact, I can buy for them, I can sell for them?
Yeah.
Or, do you have multiple clients?
Yeah, so there's a few different areas that I think, or at least I've seen kind of the track record over the years, just kind of the repetition from. A lot of, local property owners. Whether it's, businesses that are expanding or they're retiring or, people that have owned real estate here and leased it for a long time and now they're retiring or selling or, they just want to take the money and go do something else. So a good amount of, listings do come from the local property owners. Like I said, I think we're a very well-trusted firm and people know our name here. Yeah. So that definitely comes about naturally. But also, having success, with the local property owners and the listings, it's no secret that, we have a lot of outside capital that's flocking to the center of the state. So, a lot of the, so there's local property owners, and this is how I break it down. There's kind of the more private individual, professional investor, usually a higher net worth individual that just, buys, sells, leases commercial real estate full time. And then there's the smaller sized investment groups. And we've dealt with a few larger investment groups and have the capability, but I would say those three: local property owners, private individuals, and then also smaller investment groups. That's pretty much bread and butter, and who 90% of my transactions have been with.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that? I know you just said you're good at what you're good at, but do you ever think that you're gonna do the 1 million square foot properties? Here's the thing with those. I feel like you have a whole team, that it's not just one person. There might be one person's name on the building, but you will rarely talk to that person. They have probably 3 or 4 people with them that are also working on.
Or 7 or 8. Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like by the time that you break it all down, I just, I feel like that is such a team effort.
Yeah. And like I said, I think just naturally those deals go more towards the corporate brokerages.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, it's like you want the client's needs to be served. And
Yeah.
if it means, a team of 7 or 8 that's more in, functioning out of a corporate realm,
Yeah.
then that's just, what it is.
Here's my take on it. If somebody comes to Augie and says, I want you to do this, 1.5 million square foot, Augie will go hire a team to make that deal happen.
He's gonna get it done.
All right, we can do this, guys.
Yeah, no, 100%, and we can do it. And I've done some larger tilt wall transactions, newer construction, brand new construction, large tilt wall transactions, and love doing them. I think they're great, and I'd love to do it for any client. However, like I said, just more naturally, I think the reason why those go to the more corporate firms is because the national relationships. Which
Act like I don't know what a tilt wall is. I do.
Yeah.
But what is it?
Yeah, exactly what it sounds like. So these most of these big warehouses that are being put up, they the concrete is poured on the ground in like a frame, if you will,
like a mold.
Yeah, a mold, and then they literally just tilt the walls up, like Lego style, like Lincoln logs here, and you just tilt them up, and you attach the roof, and then you start building out the space. So
it's a little terrifying. It's terrifying to see it happen. And I've heard some horror stories because it's just so dangerous, I mean, it can be a very dangerous thing.
Yeah. I mean, definitely all construction can be extremely dangerous, but it is weird, like with these tilt wall warehouses, because it happens so fast. Because like when they're pouring them on the ground in these molds, like you don't know, like you can't see them whenever you drive by.
Yeah, it just looks like a pad.
But then like you go out there, it seems like, hey, you go out to Orlando for the day, and then like, you're there, and then like you drive by, there's nothing on the way there, and then it's like, hey, you come back in the afternoon, it's like, did you guys just put up 1 million square feet of buildings? Like, how did that happen? That's what it seems like, seriously, it's like 2 or 3 days, and it's like, hey, all of a sudden, like, whoa, but they were being poured, and concrete was drying, and now all of a sudden the walls are tilted, and you have this massive structure. So pretty fascinating construction.
Quite the opposite of eyesore on I-4.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Oh dear, yeah, that was not a tilt wall. I don't even know if that building's completed yet.
What's the eyesore on I-4?
Oh, Altamont Springs. You've never seen this huge glass building?
Oh,
On the east side.
Yes. I didn't know that was the title.
Yes.
Yeah. Curved.
Yeah. Somebody bought that or leased that? It's done now,
It
right?
is done now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, they finished it, and somebody either bought it or finalized the lease and then finished the construction.
Shout out to them, whoever stepped in there.
That is
took care of business.
very long transaction. Speaking of, what is the largest transaction that you've done to date?
Largest in sale price or commission or length of time?
Oh my goodness!
What is this, Step Brothers?
I almost. I feel like.
What did you make last year?
Yeah.
Before tax.
Yeah.
I would say largest sale price.
Largest sale price was actually pretty recently. Was like $7.5 million. So I've had a few in like the $7 million range. Have one under contract right now that should close next month for 11.5, and then one that should close next year for 16.5. So got two in the 10 figures, which that was a big goal of mine. Do a 10-figure transaction. So, but 2 of those in the pipeline. One should close soon. But yeah, actually closed, like I said, about $7.5 million.
Do you have so you have a goal for doing a double-digit transaction? How do you identify those properties? I mean, how do you know, and how do you go after that, and how does it all come together?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, having a database is key in commercial real estate brokerage, and knowing not only the properties but also knowing the property owners. So just trying to do that to the best of my ability. And like I said, just with the deals that I've transacted over the past few years, have a good amount of relationships with these, investor types or users looking, businesses looking to expand or whoever it is. But yeah, just, kind of knowing the lay of the land, who the buyers are, who the sellers are, what properties are on the market, what properties could come for sale, or, kind of who's moving and shaking and, what's going on. But I think, long story short, keeping a database, keeping track of what's going on.
Now, what is a database to you? Like your personal Rolodex, or you're saying
Rolodex?
You have a Rolodex, August?
Yeah, a lot of people say that. A lot of guys in this business, people in this business, sometimes they're older, so they like throw out the Rolodex term, and I'm just like, I know what that is, but like I just kind of like smile and shake my head, or like when they talk about like the Great Recession, and I'm just like smile and shake my head, and I'm like, I was 13, like I didn't really have a care in the world of what was going on. So, but yeah, so what a database looks like, there's a few different softwares you can use, or, some people put it into their CRM. I think that's most efficient, when you have a database and a CRM combined. But I mean, if all else fails, just, the Excel spreadsheet will never let you down. That could almost be a Gary Ralston quote, but it's not.
I know. I tell Bridget every day, I'm like, I am in Excel fighting for my life.
Yeah,
and it's true.
Yeah. No, so it'll never let you down, though.
I know. You said something about, just kind of knowing the lay of the land. But I think that you just wrote an article for our market report.
Indeed.
What is that about?
And it wasn't, I guess that's not the lay of the land market report.
No, it isn't. It's the market report.
Is that what we call it? We just call it the market report? That makes sense. So yeah, no, just wrote the industrial article, probably for the third time or so.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess I should start reading. I didn't even know.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can download it. Click the link below. I know you're supposed to say all these things. But yeah, so just finished that article up. I think Fred, Jennifer, Emily, they're finishing the report and getting.
I can't remember. Does that come out quarterly? Or is it?
So it's only annually now. So
okay.
yeah, we used to do it quarterly.
Yeah.
We still do. We still are, keeping track of sales and, doing reports to our clients and things like that. But when we do the annual market report, it's a big publication, and we put a lot of time and energy into it, and our team here does, which, don't know what we would do without them. Like I said, a few I mentioned earlier, but yeah, so finished that article, and I think it's, wrapping up here, and I think it'll be a really good report. It was a really great year for commercial real estate, really all across the country. Really great year for commercial
which is
real estate
super
in
incredible considering COVID and kind of these warnings of a possible recession. So I think, I truly, when COVID first started, I really thought that everything was going to come to like a screeching halt, and it seems like everything is like a bullet train, just, going from Orlando to Tampa, which by the way was just approved, and I'm super happy about that. But
they just approved the
they got a
train?
grant for.
Not the stop in Lakeland yet, though, right?
Not the stop in Lakeland.
I know Bill Mutz he's fighting for us on that one. He's been going to bat for years, so that would be really cool.
I think that we have time for a funny story.
Uh-oh.
And I wanted to. I hope. If you're not comfortable with it, tell me, and we'll just we'll cut this part out.
We'll find out here pretty soon.
I think you were very new, and you were with your twin, David Hungerford. And I believe that you guys went on like a listing appointment for an industrial property. And I think that somebody said to you, "Do you even do industrial?"
Yes.
And
his famous last words.
I like to think about you and David just kind of looking at each other, but do you want to go into that a little?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. There was a situation where it was like, what is a fixture versus non-fixture, and I think it was like some air compressors.
Which is so funny because that's not even just industrial. That is like a legal, that's very legal in every property ever, not just industrial.
Yeah, so like I said, we're just sitting there talking to the guy, me and David, and David, like I said, has just been a big advocate for my success and kind of let me go anywhere he went in the first couple of years of my career. So so following David around and went on a listing appointment, and we're sitting there talking about this fixture, and like, hey, is it this air compressor, and like, hey, is it a fixture? Is it not a fixture? Obviously, he's got it piped all through this manufacturing facility, and like we're sitting there talking about it, and like going back and forth, and then he looks at me and David and David specifically and says, he said, "Do you guys do industrial?" and then ever since after that, we just kind of like asked each other that, like if we're working on an industrial property, and he looks at me, he's like, "Dude, do you even do industrial?" Yeah. But it's got to be that much more funny that I've just ended up specializing. Like I said, this was like probably back in my research analyst days. So that I've specialized in industrial.
I know.
But he still tells me that. So
I hope that you run into that owner and you're like, actually, I am industrial.
We do. We actually so that property got sold. Actually, I think the bank took it, but
nope.
Yeah, the bank took it. So, but
does he even do industrial? Not anymore.
yeah. But actually, there was another industrial asset that he owned, and he listed it with another firm. After he came to us, and we told him that was too high of a price, and I think it's been on the market for probably like 3.5 years now. So,
moral of the story: you do industrial, and people should heed your advice. Yeah, people should sign up.
Yeah, for our recommendation, because we have their best interests.
I know, truly, and that is, the whole premise here is you have to do what's in the best interest of the client always, even when you don't personally want to, but you gotta. Anything else you want to talk about or mention?
No, I think that's it. I mean, like I said, I don't know if we made a plug for Sanoa. Too many times, but I mean, there's never too many.
There's never too many times. I miss that guy a lot.
Miss that guy.
One of the best people I've ever known, truly.
Yeah, no, incredible.
Why do we always talk about him like he's dead?
Well, because he moved away.
D. Hung said R.I.P.
He did say R.I.P.
He says that to everybody. It's like, if you go to lunch for the day, he's like, yeah, R.I.P. And I'm like, dang, dude.
That's how rumors spread. No, we miss Noah very much, but we have his brother, Augie, with us today. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super appreciate it, and I guess keep doing double digits, Augie.
Yeah, try not to be a silver boy. Just keep being the golden boy. So.
Golden child.
Yeah, golden child.
All right, thanks everybody.
Yep, thank you.